Okay. Welcome, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to AI, to the School of Architecture and Design. This is a unique place where architecture meets design and other creative disciplines across physical, virtual, and hybrid environments. And they also blend with the legacy of business and entrepreneurship that has been the DNA of this institution for the past 50 years. But what really makes IE special is people, actually. You, students, faculty, and staff that are absolutely excellent. Our students represent 170 countries, of which you are certainly good ambassadors. And they come not only here to grow professionally, but also personally, and thrive collaborating together and trying to make a positive impact in their fields. And engaging in hands-on experiences at the intersection of academia and the market. So it's not only a pursuit, what you are up for, of knowledge, but also of wisdom, in a way, wisdom of reality. Our faculty, which is deeply integrated into the IE community, believes that the search of knowledge and wisdom is one of the greatest human pursuits, and that teaching is one of the most impactful ways to contribute to humankind. So on behalf of them, I also give you their welcome. They're very eager to meet you very soon, actually. You'll have the opportunity to engage with them, many of them, in the coming 2 weeks. And finally, our passionate and student-focused staff, which is 100% dedicated to making the learning journey as smooth as possible so that you can really focus on what truly matters in your education. But the mission that gathers us here today is that all of us, one way or another, we believe that business and design are stronger together, and we are here to explore basically how. So business is a fundamental force that is present in every human domain, and that by reorganizing resources, relationships, and opportunities, makes society better. And design is a way of thinking, is a way of acting that enables us to ask the right questions and define tangible strategies across physical and virtual environments and social environments. And it is, in many ways, by asking those right questions about reality, philosophy of our time, if you want. In today's world, architects and designers who possess business and innovation acumen, as well as design skills, are rare and very necessary. And the ability to contribute knowledge and ideas to shape the future of the built environment is even more impactful when supported by solid management and strategic foundations so that the great design can really thrive. Over the next 15 months, your faculty, your staff, and peers will be by your side, guiding you through this exciting journey of integrating business and design. It is really a privilege to guide this time together, so please get ready, because here we go. And now I have the honor of introducing our Dean of the School of Architecture and Design, Mr. David Goodman, who will also welcome our guests. Welcome, everyone.
Well, it's good to have you all with us today and in general at the IE School of Architecture and Design. As Jero mentioned, we are a school that deals with the creative industries at the intersection of business and design, but with a strong dedication to the idea that it is through the creative industries, it is through architecture, design, real estate, fashion design that we can build a more beautiful, more just, and more sustainable world. Now, if we're not able to understand and to innovate just as much in business as we are in design, if we're not able to do that, then we aren't able to make a difference in the world. That is, it is through understanding the business of design that we, as designers, can exert our influence on the world around us. It's that simple. And so I'm inspired by the fact that you guys have joined us on this journey. We are a school of about 600 students on several campuses. Sometimes I say 3, but it's actually 4 or 5, depending on how you look at it. We've got students like you who come to Madrid, but who are also with us online. We've got students in this campus, the Maria de Molina area. We've got most of our undergraduates in the Tower, just to the north, and students in Segovia, undergraduates. So I'm not sure how many of you are aware of the family that you've just joined in the School of Architecture and Design, but also broadly, as Jero mentioned, 170 nationalities in the university, about 80 in the School of Architecture and Design. 600 students, 80 nationalities, right, which is truly an international group with no one nationality really dominating in terms of numbers. We've got undergraduate programs in design, and in design we can do a comprehensive design or a virtual environment and video game design, interior design. We've got our licensed architecture program, which is a bachelor and a master. And we've got our bachelor in fashion design. That's starting now in Segovia and moves to Madrid in a few years. We've also, at the master's level, we've got our master in architecture, which is a license granting degree. Also the program that you're currently in right now, the MBArch, as well as our real estate programs and programs in interior design and video game and virtual environment. We're growing. So another campus where our students are at work at this very moment is in New York, and IENYC, which is a partner institution. We've got a master in sustainable fashion, which begins next year, and we hope to do more things on the other side of the Atlantic. So it's a pleasure to welcome you. I know I'll see you at events, but as the first day, the first kickoff, it's inspiring to see you here with us. And I want you to know that you're now part of this international family that has homes all over the world and an alumni network wherever you go. So please feel, as of today, a part of this family. Welcome. It's a pleasure to have you. I will now hand it off to Agustin Perez Torres. Agustin is today's keynote lecturer. Agustin is a partner at BIG, Bjarke Ingels Group. He's based in the Barcelona office, but was for about 20 years in the New York office, working on projects in the Americas broadly. Before that, he worked at OMA, Office for Metropolitan Architecture, Rem Koolhaas, and partners. It's a pleasure to welcome Agustin Perez Torres with us today. Thank you very much.
Hello. Well, thank you for having me here. I'm going to show you a little bit of how our office has been changing and adapting to different markets. Somehow, when I first started at BIG, this was in 2006, and I was coming from working in a very tiny office in Barcelona, Carmen Pinós. And from there, I went to this office where we were like 30 people back then, including support and architects, everyone. And somehow, that was an office that I already understood there was a bigger vision of what to do here. So when I started, it was in Copenhagen where we started the office in 2006. As you know, we started, Bjarke started us with an office called Plot with Julian de Smet. And at that, I got to work exactly when Bjarke just opened his own, which is called BIG. And from that point, we tried to work in as many places as we could because we have this idea of like very international office from the beginning. So even myself, I was there coming from Spain, like, you know, and Bjarke was not even a big deal back then. And so now, with years, we've been opening, these are the offices that we have now. We have Copenhagen, we opened New York, and all these offices came from an intention of working in more projects, but also because we got commissions that allows us to open new offices. Somehow, we started with 30 people in 2005, 2006. We are about 800 plus now, a lot of people. And of course, as you were saying about this anniversary, we are from all over the place, which also allows us to work in many different places, even though we always work with local teams. And that allows us also to work in very different scales. What you see here, we have product designers, we have interior designers, we have urbanist architects. It allows us to like work in so many different areas of architecture. Right? Architecture is a business that allows you to explore many different fields. This is a bit what you will get when you work with us as a client. You get a bunch of ideas that are very different, and this allows us to talk with our clients and have a dialogue with them. It's not so much about the old school idea of a sketch that it gets built. With us, it's much more about the dialogue with the clients. We focus a lot on community, which I think you're going to see here. Energy, sustainability, from the very beginning was something important to us. And I guess it's also coming from Copenhagen. It's a country that is almost the first ones thinking about sustainability, right? So even if you think about the biking that they are so famous about, they became a thing when in the 60s they saw an oil crisis. So then the government pushed their citizens to start using bikes. It all came from something that it was needed. We also work in Workspace. These are the Google headquarters in Palo Alto, in California. Culture, we have the museums, residency, which is a thing that is quite important in general. Also, as I said before, sustainability. And I want to just talk a bit about a few projects from the very beginning, and so you can see how these ideas adjust to different markets or different places. And this is the first project that we built, and why Big became sort of well-known back then. It was a housing project in the outskirts of the city of Copenhagen. And what you see here, everything looks a bit like unusual. It all came out of the necessity of making a building with the largest balconies, because in Copenhagen, it's not as in Madrid. They love to enjoy the outdoors. In Madrid, if you notice, everyone closes off their balconies. But in Copenhagen, it's the opposite thing. And this idea wasn't about creating something unusual or fun looking. The idea came out of that we have to build cheap apartments where we could build the biggest balconies at the lowest cost possible. So you see here, these triangular shapes are simply like that because we wanted to have the large area. I'm going to show you here a little bit more. This one. The balconies are like balconies that have 3 points of contact. So it's just like the shape didn't come out of the idea of making something unusual. It's to make them with 3 joints. You have one support here, one there, and one here. And this is what became something that allows us to think in certain ways about the needs in each of these projects. So from this point, we also work, as you may know, also Big is a company that we kind of feel proud that we work with developers. We didn't make our name based on like museums or stuff like that. We did it out of like real needs from business point of view. That face is our client for this prompt, for VM. And then he just kept asking us to build more things for him. So after this, next to the VM houses, we built this other building, which is basically the same idea that he had. We had the VM. It was a project where we wanted to have more units with balconies if you're in suburban part of the city. And also they have a little bit of, I'll show you this. They have a bit of an issue because we couldn't really build parkings. You see them here. These are the 3. This is the VM that I showed you before with the triangular balconies. Then we built this other one, which is a simpler version, where we also wanted to keep views. But then the next plot was also the same client, and he wanted to have a bunch of houses, which also with the amount of parking, because we couldn't build underground because it was very expensive. So we did what we built a base of parking that we covered with housing on top. And the idea, in order to maximize the views for the units, it became this sort of like sloping plane that allows us to create this type of space where the parking is the base. We cover it simply with perforated metal sheets, with a photo of Everest, even though it's not Everest, actually. It's like, it didn't look good, so we changed it. Inside, the idea was always to get this idea of community, or the sense that you're living in a beautiful part of town. This is what the parking looks like with the diagonal elevator, because it's also complicated to to build something like this, where your corridors are not always the same. So we have to we paint each level with a different color so you know where you need to go. This is what it feels inside. This idea of Scandinavian living with your outdoor garden outside, it felt very European, right? And this idea kept exploring even more to a next level with the same client again. And this, I say this because it's very important that when we work with clients, we feel that we really have a dialogue with them, and that allows us to keep working with the same people. So this client allows us to work in this largest project yet, which this was this very large thing at the very edge of town, this one. And this idea of, you see the size, is it's something of some of the biggest things that happen in Copenhagen. This came out of the idea of how can we do a building so large in the outskirts and create a sense of community as well. So what we did was, this idea of this H shape was, we wanted to be able to bring your bikes, because as I said before, in Copenhagen, everybody's biking. How can you go with your bike into your apartment? So we took the length that you need to go to the 6th floor with an accessible ramp. And that, because the lot was not large enough, we did an H shape that this allows you to access each unit from this ramp that you have here. And this brings again this idea of community. We wanted to feel that you can know your neighbor, that your kids can play outside in front of your little garden. And so everything that the focus was always people. It was never just the design. And even if you see in this building, it's an unusual shape. It's not a beautiful shape, but it kind of works in the idea that they wanted to have. This idea of this, you can meet the neighbors, and you can always go all the way up there with the same bike. And then from this point, these ideas of collaborating with clients, we jumped and we went to New York to build a project I will explain after this one. I want to show you how these same ideas adjust to a very different market. As you've seen before, the European projects are very much focused on community, mostly. But when you go to the United States, the rules of the game are very different. So here we got with our naive idea from Europe into North America. This is in Canada. And we got with this client, again, a good developer. He bought all this plot of land many years before, and you have this highway that crosses around your site. And he had this problem where he couldn't really build much. He didn't know this when he bought the land. So he got to know that we couldn't throw a lot of shading into this park. So this pushed us even further. So what happened here is, the rule in the city will say that you cannot build housing closer to 30 meters to the road. So what happened is you only have this triangular footprint to be able to build something. Basically, the numbers were not working for him. He wanted to invest, he needed to change the city, but the numbers don't add up. So what we did with him was what if this 30 meters distance on the side from the road also applies in vertical. So what we did this 30 meters in this direction as well. That allows us to bring back the tower with a footprint of a square at the very top, which basically meant for this client how he could have more square meters at the very top, even though it's a very unusual, structurally challenging tower. But the thing was for him, these top apartments, the largest floor plate in this tower, were the highest real estate value. Basically, he started making a ton of extra money that he didn't know he had. So if you see this idea that is basically about real estate and value, it was the opposite of Copenhagen. Copenhagen was always about building community, making something that allows to have a better living. But here, the rule of the game changed. It was suddenly real estate and just money, simply. How can you use the same ideas to create something that responds to that problem? Also here we have the base, which he also wanted to create a community, but it was a very different and difficult place to do it. We were into a highway. So we created these unusual buildings, but we could protect the inner part with these like corridors that are very much quiet because they only open little cracks here to connect to this thing. Here is going to be in the future the pedestrian side. This is Granville Bridge at the beginning of Vancouver Island. And I'm going to show you now the region where we opened in New York. This was like a project that we got through another developer in a conference about climate change in Copenhagen. And here, again, our client liked the way we thought. It wasn't about giving us something specific. So here, he had this very large plot in Manhattan. And he wanted to build, this was a residential rental apartment unit. And we wanted to create something, again, that would connect European with American ideas. So we did here, we took the site, the full block here, and we did the European block with the interior courtyard. This happened to be an interesting thing, but the next challenge, again, was real estate and value. Because this client, he also built that tower before, which was called the Helena, named after his daughter. And basically, this new building was going to block the views towards New Jersey. So what we did here was simply lift a corner and allow the views to not lower the real estate of this tower, was already built and was occupied, to allow the views towards here. So you can see each of these decisions are based on a very clear answer to a problem. In these two cases, is real estate problems. This is what you see. These are the towers that you can allow the views. And this also allows us to create this secret garden for these units, right? You can feel a bit of this European taste as well. Here we did this interior garden that is like, funny enough, it's almost the same shape as Central Park in Manhattan. It has a similar proportions as Central Park in Manhattan. And so the idea was to add this element of privacy and quietness into the mess of Manhattan. So if you see all of these, it's very similar what you see here and what you see in Copenhagen. But when the rules of the game are different, then things start looking very different. Another one from America. This was a curious challenge that the client had in here. He had this land where he could build these two towers. But again, real estate issues. He had, as you can see here, there was a front and a back tower, which meant for the client, the back tower was going to have half the value. So again, the client wasn't, the business case was not making sense. So what we did, we tried to adjust as much as we could the footprint to allow as much views as we could, but at the same time, you could also see here, there was an obvious second tower in the back, which wasn't really giving him the numbers that he was expecting. So we just twist them so we could have both towers parallel on the top. So suddenly he had a project that could have the same value, the one that was supposed to be the back one, and now they're both front. So this unusual shape, it also is what gives an answer to a problem of real estate. In these ones also, this is in Miami, curious they have in Coconut Grove. There's no maximum height. There's a maximum number of floors. What we did here was also a very rational decision of just taking, looking into the tallest sliding door that was hurricane proof. Because with that, we have a product that we could just do, even though this is high end, clients always want good value for the money. So here, you start getting this sense of the exterior and inside the apartments, you're gonna get this sense of these tall doors that are about 15 feet high, which they are hurricane proof and allows to have the maximum clear, which is about luxury in Miami. Transparency that works in and out. and how these ideas of the interior and the exterior and luxury means something very different. This is a project that we did also from the New York office. It's in Quito, in Ecuador. And here, the client, was a very similar issue. He had a plot of land, extremely narrow, very long, and he had this park in front. So he wanted to have as many units as he could with views to the park, so his business case could make sense. What you see here, we just did these balconies that are slowly rotating so you can get all the views towards the park and the indoor balconies as well. Of course, here you can see that it's a very different technique. Like markets have different ways of being able to build things. So here we did it in concrete, a very rational way of building in Ecuador. And you can see here weird things that happen. This is the planter for the balcony above you, or the balcony of your neighbor. I think what's interesting about this is like how this idea for responding to real estate problems give you good enough ideas to become the leitmotif of these projects. In an even more luxurious way, this in Bahamas, a very different way of thinking. So here, the client wanted to have something extremely unique for these apartments. So, you typically think that it's always very large projects that give you these cool ideas to make something interesting. But in this case, it was around a marina. There was like a master plan. We couldn't really change heights or much. So we decided here to give something that nobody had in Bahamas, which was basically give each tenant a pool that you could use and you will have in your balcony. It's almost like a spa type of thing. So the view from the marina, and what you see here, again, these like honeycomb shapes, they became like that because we wanted to have the balcony, the pools outside, and you could see a section of this pool as well. The sides, you can see that, again, this like honeycomb shapes allows you, as it was in Quito, your shape is what gives value to the neighbor, right? So it's this sense of community that happens quite nicely. So this one is lit up at night. And this idea also became a prototype for this client. So we just kept working with him. And next to this, we're building two more at the same idea with different configurations with the same idea of the pool and the facade. That's the next one. We have two more on the sides. So you can see that these all interesting ideas or responses to problems that are very much rooted in real estate problems. At the pool fields, this was the idea how we sold the client this idea, right? Like it's a very simple thing that somehow allows you to get something very unique. And I'm going to show you just a couple of things, maybe only this one. One that was something that because we just opened in Spain now. We opened 5 years ago in Barcelona. From there, as you see from before, in New York was basically working in the Americas, South, North America. Now Barcelona, we're trying to work in the Mediterranean market. This includes Africa, Middle East, Greece, Spain, south of France, and so on. So this is a project that we did, and somehow it exemplifies a bit what we like to focus on. Here is not a residential project. This is like an office building for the European Union. It's a research center for cybersecurity and other things that are complicated and very secure for Europe. And we did this competition where we wanted to build a very rational office building where we could have as many PVs as we could. So we could have a self-sufficient building. So these canopies that cover the building also covers two plazas. One that is a gift to the city of Sevilla, and the other one is a private garden for the workers, for the European Union. So these projects become this because they have this idea of like a shading and a gift. We also like to think about our projects, not only about giving an answer to a problem, also to give something for free, something new, and that the client doesn't ask for it, but somehow it becomes, it doesn't cost a lot of money, and you make a better world. So this was like a public plaza, so we can actually bring citizens from Sevilla into the building, and it's a shaded space, and it was like based, the building is under this part. So this is the big plaza that is given back to the city, and this one, this in the north, is the part that we are giving as a gift to the workers. So the competition was basically only to build a beautiful office building in La Isla de la Cartuja. So our idea was that if we can do something else and give you the best building, what this could look like. What you see here is that these like the canopies that are giving you all the units that you need. Also allows cross ventilation we can minimize the use of AC in the office building. So of course the building would have been a lot smaller looking. All of this is the gift that we're giving to the city. This is the private garden to the workers. Somehow this like very like large looking building is very much just a series of canopies floating above this office building. This is actually getting into construction now. I think I'm gonna stop, right? How much we are on time? Maybe of time? So thinking about the sustainability problems, which, these are questions that we have to ourselves, not so much about a client. These are like things that us as architects are interested also. So here, also in a similar way as I was showing in Sevilla, this is something that we did, it's a competition that we did in Copenhagen quite a few years ago. And this was, it was a competition to basically design a beautiful energy plant. It was as simple as that. The competition was not about making a good statement, it was just simply build something beautiful. So for us, was like, the question was like, what does that mean, beautiful? We work better when we have a specific problem to solve. But here, the problem was not really there. It was just a waste to energy plant. And what we did here was, I'm not sure how much you know about the energy in Copenhagen. They're always the leader on this type of energy consumption. This is a waste to energy plant, which basically means they don't throw anything to landfills. And what we have was, what if this is what they have in Copenhagen, and what they don't have is this, this is what they love to ski there, and they have to like drive 6 hours to Sweden in order to ski Danes. So we did like, what if we just cover this plant with the slope? And the word was like, we won the competition without really knowing what we were doing. So here we have to work really hard not on designing things. We had to work really hard on finding a product that we could ski all year long. So we end up doing was like this. We have this like working with an Italian company. It's like basically like it's a panel. It's a panel made of plastic that allows grass to go through, and that means that gives you the resistance enough to ski under. So this actually is working, and it's a gift to the city. So for us at this time, we kind of realized that beauty is not anymore what we thought it was. We're kind of interested in understanding what beauty, what does it mean to be beautiful at these days. And we believe that this is beautiful because it brings the citizens of Copenhagen into a plan that would have been probably like work with a fence around. And now people come here to enjoy, basically to be next to like an energy plant, right? It doesn't seem very logical, but it's kind of working. We also built the whole site. We have a hiking path. You can even take the Teresilla here. This is the only thing you have to pay for. Everything else is for free. Somehow this is giving this sense of sustainability as something that can be enjoyable. So the beauty is about the use of the building. We also have the highest climbing wall. It's 85 meters tall. So as you can see, it's about making absolutely use of every single corner of this building. It's just full of activity, and the interior we just simply painted in silver, and it's a clean space. Because as you can see in the facades, it's a 50-50 facade. It's made of planters that Well, hopefully they will come, they will work sometimes because they were cutting from the value of the building. And I could see it now is becoming an icon of the city of Copenhagen, which we felt that was like the right answer to be what's beautiful today. And one project that we've done also in Copenhagen is our office. This is also because you guys are starting business. This is something that for us was interesting. We wanted to build our own office in Copenhagen, which, you know, business case doesn't make a lot of sense. You know? You don't want to spend your own money building buildings, right? But we did it, and for us was an interesting exercise. So it was so complicated that it also allows us to understand clients better. We wanted to build our own building, but with our own money. So what I have to do, because we can't do both. It's very difficult to be an architect and also be the client. So we have to, we are 20 partners overall. So what we did, we have to separate the partner group into two groups. One were clients and the other side were architects. So every decision that we had to do was learning about, do we really want to spend this much money on this? You understand clients better somehow. So as you see, this is an absolutely raw building. It's the structure is the facade, the egress is the outdoor space. And there's not a single decision that it was not a good idea because it's our own money. We were not gonna spend it on something that is beautiful, just. So this building, somehow it represents all these ideas of what do we believe that is beautiful today? So what you see here is the structure, and this is a building that we only have one column in the middle. There's no interiors, as we say, and the middle column is the one that supports all slabs. It minimizes also the use of concrete and the use of, we optimize the structure to make it, and we even use this idea of stones that support that central column. It's not even concrete, it's a system of different stones. The way it looks on the outside. Somehow with these ideas, what we're trying is also to discover what is beautiful to us as a company. You know, we are learning, every project is an opportunity to do something new. I showed you before, with clients, it's kind of easier to give them an answer. You know, if you think, once you know the question, it's easier to get the answer. And I think I'm gonna stop it here. But what I think is important to just understand that how business is so important in architecture. Without the business, we can't do anything. Yep.
Thank you, Agustin, so much for this inspiring work and for a full journey of an office that you contribute to make grow from 20 people, I think, when you started, to north of 800, which is quite impressive. Now we will make it a rapid, this event, and we will go to to outside where we have a little reception, ice-breaking event, and then we'll go to the actual academic program presentation. Thank you, everyone, and thanks, Agustin.